Lokoz boxing. David Benavidez calls out to try to fight Canelo Alvarez after his victory against Kyron Davis. He says this is the fight that everybody wants to see, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get to Canelo Alvarez. I will add that he was actually very respectful in the way he said it, and it was very admirable, in my opinion. Also, that he added the fact that he's not waiting to just skip the line and fight Canelo next. That he understands that there's probably going to be a process or some other fighters that he may have to get through. But he adds that he will not stop and he is willing to face whoever's in the way until he climbs the ladder. So that's a good approach. I mean, he's not going to just sit around and wait like most fighters do. But is he really ready to fight Canelo? David Benavidez only has a total of 25 fights versus Canelo's 60 fights that he's had. Normally, I would say that, the experience is a big advantage. But I think in David Benavidez's case, the experience could be an advantage. On one hand, on the obvious part, it could be a huge disadvantage since that lack of experience has cost every fighter that Canelo has beat the victory. On the other side, he's young and inexperienced, and a lot of times it takes those inexperienced young fighters to take those risks. Experienced fighters tend to not take the crazy risks that could make you lose a lot faster or could end up with an unpredictable outcome. Sometimes you get crazy things happening in fights where an inexperienced fighter will just try something that, an experienced fighter would not do because of common sense. David Benavidez is a lot taller. He has longer reach. He's the bigger fighter there. And he has knockout power. I mean, if we look at his history, his record, out of the 25 fights that he has won, he's knocked out 22 of his opponents. With that being said, we just don't know how good he is because he's still untested, in my opinion. This fight against Kyron Davis was just too easy for him. Kyron was a last-minute replacement. It wasn't David Benavidez's fault. His previous opponent that he was supposed to fight got caught up using some illegal substances. David Benavidez did what he had to do. It really wouldn't be the first time Canelo fights somebody that is bigger, taller, has longer reach. Most of the people he fights have those advantages over him. I think the difference is that David Benavidez has a heavy hit. So on top of being taller, having a longer reach, he's also a power puncher. I would not be opposed to seeing David Benavidez fight Canelo. I think it would be a very interesting fight to see a inexperienced fighter with all these advantages fight Canelo Alvarez. I still think Canelo would be the victorious in the fight. Canelo's experience is quite overwhelming to anybody who steps up in the ring to him at this time. I don't think that David Benavidez is really ready to take on Canelo because of the experience. I go back to the experience again, how it could work out for him or it could cost him the fight. But I wouldn't be opposed to the fight. They were mentioning trying to get Canelo to fight him in May. I highly doubt that will happen. From my experience, most fighters, after they have a really great victory, a difficult fight, the next fight is kind of an easier fight, a tune-up fight. And then they move on to their next challenge. So I don't expect a big name to be Canelo's next opponent for May. But I do expect something a little better in September of next year. That is why I don't think David Benavidez would be his opponent in May. With all that being said, David Benavidez did a good job in his fight. It was an entertaining fight. It was a walk in the park for him. Let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Lokoz Boxing.